The next day, Pao Yu saw Dowager Lady Chia. But in spite of his confession that he himself was responsible for the scalding of his face, his grandmother could not refrain from reading another lecture to the servants who had been in attendance. A day after, Ma, a Taoist matron whose name was recorded as Pao Yu's godmother, came on a visit to the mansion. Upon perceiving Pao Yu, she was very much taken aback and asked all about the circumstances of the accident. When he explained that he had been scalded, she forthwith shook her head and heaved a sigh. Then, while making with her fingers a few passes over Pao Yu's face, she went on to mutter incantations for several minutes. "I can guarantee that he'll get all right, for this is simply a sudden and fleeting accident." Turning towards Dowager Lady Chia, "Venerable ancestor, venerable Buddha, how could you ever be aware of the existence of that portentous passage in that Buddhistic classic to the effect that a son of every person who holds the dignity of prince, duke, or high functionary has no sooner come into the world and reached a certain age than numerous evil spirits at once secretly haunt him and pinch him when they find an opportunity, or knock his nails into him, or knock his bowl of rice down during mealtimes, or give him a shove and send him over while he is quietly seated? So this is the reason why the majority of the sons and grandsons of those distinguished families do not grow up to attain manhood." Dowager Lady Chia, upon hearing her speak in this wise, eagerly asked, "Is there any Buddhistic spell by which to check their influence or not?" "This is an easy job," rejoined the Taoist matron Ma. "All one need do is to perform several meritorious deeds on his account so as to counteract the consequences of retribution, and everything will then be put right." That canon further explains that in the western part of the world there is a mighty Buddha whose glory illumines all things, and whose special charge is to cast his luster on the evil spirits in dark places. That if any benevolent man or virtuous woman offers him oblations with sincerity of heart, he is able to successfully perpetuate the peace and quiet of their sons and grandsons, that these will no more meet with any calamities arising from being possessed by malevolent demons. "But what, I wonder," inquired Dowager Lady Chia, "could be offered to this god?" "Nothing of any great value, exclusive of offerings of scented candles. Several caddies of scented oil can be added each day to keep the lantern of the Great Sea alight. This Great Sea lantern is the visible embodiment and Buddhistic representation of this divinity, so day and night we don't venture to let it go out." "For a whole day and a whole night?" asked Dowager Lady Chia. "How much oil is needed so that I too should accomplish a good action?" "There is really no limit as to quantity. It rests upon the goodwill of the donor," Ma, the Taoist matron, put in by way of reply. "In my quarters, for instance, I have several lanterns, the gifts of the consorts of princes and the spouses of high officials living in various localities. The consort of the mansion of the Prince of Nanao has been prompted in her beneficence by a liberal spirit. She allows each day 48 caddies of oil and a caddy of wick, so that her Great Sea lantern is only a trifle smaller than a water jar. The spouse of the Marquis of Qinxiang comes next with no more than 20 caddies a day. Besides these, there are several other families, some giving 10 caddies, some giving 8, some 3, some 5, subject to no fixed rule, and of course I feel bound to keep the lanterns alight on their behalf. Dowager Lady Chia nodded her head and gave way to reflection. There's another thing, continued the Taoist matron Ma. If it be on account of father or mother or seniors, any excessive donation would not matter. But were you, venerable ancestor, to bestow too much in your offering for Pao Yu, our young master won't be able to equal the gift, and instead of being benefited, his happiness will be snapped. So, if you therefore want to make a liberal gift, 7 caddies will do. If a small one, then 5 caddies will even be sufficient. Well, in that case, responded Dowager Lady Chia, let us fix upon 5 caddies a day, and every month come and receive payment of the whole lump sum. O mi tofu, exclaimed Ma, the Taoist matron. O merciful and mighty Pusa! Dowager Lady Chia then called the servants and impressed on their minds that whenever Pao Yu went outdoors in the future, they should give several strings of cash to the pages to bestow on charity among the bonzes and Taoist priests and the poor and needy they might meet on the way. These directions concluded, the Taoist matron trudged into various quarters and paid her respects and then strolled leisurely about. Presently, she entered Mrs. Zhao's apartments. After the 2 ladies had exchanged salutations, Mrs. Zhao bade a young servant girl hand her guest a cup of tea. While Mrs. Zhao busied herself pasting shoes, Ma, the Taoist matron, espied piled up in a heap on the stove couch sundry pieces of silks and satins. So she consequently remarked, "It just happens that I have no facings for shoes, so, my lady, do give me a few odd cuttings of silk and satin of no matter what color to make myself a pair of shoes with."